Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Jonathan here with another Vectorworks video, and I've been having tons of fun using the Vectorworks AI Visualiser. I want to show you some really cool new features that you can embrace in your workflow. So I found this really nice sketch of a lovely project at Cologne Cathedral. I'm really impressed by the kind of quality of the architecture, the contrast between the old and the new. What I wanted to do though was experiment with making some nice sketches, basically using the AI Visualiser. So as you can see, I've just typed in a very simple prompt, water sketch with ink, and I'm just going to run that AI Visualiser for a few moments, and basically we'll see what it produces. So I think you'll agree, the AI Visualiser is something in Vectorworks that's actually starting to become very, very useful. So here is our AI Visualiser now. It's kind of generated on my other screen. And basically, if I do want to, I can click upscale to upscale that image to 4K quality as well. So the real benefit with upscaling is that you can render something at lower resolution potentially and just upscale the image to at least 4K, and this will create a much higher quality image. So therefore it speeds up things like renderings as well. Now in this circumstance, basically I'm going to generate that image and create a bitmap object. Now here's a real little trick that I have shown you before on other videos. You may not have seen this. So I'm just going to kind of overlay the images. I've got a couple there. So really scale that massive 4K image, you saw the quality there, and just drop it over the top of the other one. And now what I really like to do is play around with things like opacity. So what this does, with wonderful control over opacity of this top image, it really kind of mingles the two images together. And if I do go to the image behind, remember that I've got the wonderful image effects built into Vectorworks, which is kind of like a cut down version of Photoshop really. And I can do some really simple things. So, for example, if I wanted the color more from the AI visualized sketch, I can do that. And actually it looks pretty cool on a background as well if you want it. So I can take a nice screenshot as well. So I think you'll agree that's a very successful sketch that I've created in just a few moments. A couple of screenshots, black and white, and I'll contrast and compare those a bit later. There they are. Good. Okay, so let's move back to our basically desktop, and I'm going to just show you those images. So there's that original one, and it looks really, really nice. I think you'll agree. If you hadn't seen the original sketch, you might think that was something I'd done by hand. So let's go ahead and just take one more screenshot, and let me open this in preview. Now this was the one with the white background. I actually really like this one. I really like the grain and the texture of the paper as well. Okay, so let's try another one. So this time I'm going to type in another prompt, Impressionist Van Gogh style painting. Van Gogh is one of my sort of favourite kind of painters. I've been to the Amsterdam Museum multiple times and looked at that amazing gallery. And I'm really interested to see what the AI Visualiser would do to try and reproduce a Van Gogh style painting. Now you can see it previewing as it develops. It looks a bit crude when it develops, but wait until the final thing actually kind of refines once it finishes. And oh, that definitely looks like one of my favourite paintings, the Starry Night painting, and I can definitely immediately recognise that's a Van Gogh. So let's copy that to our clipboard, or just generate that image and basically maybe consider upscaling if we've got the time. I will upscale on this one because I think it's a really, really nice picture. So here you can see my Van Gogh style sketch with a little bit of opacity overlaid. And here was another one I tried where I faded out the colours a little bit more as well. So really, really pleased with that image. So what I'm going to do now is basically just duplicate the image, create a new layer, just sending one forwarded to the backwards as well in terms of the order. So let's just go and create a brand new layer, and let's run the AI Visualiser once again. Now I've got the option to run it with the faded edges or not. So this time we're going to go for a different kind of style. Let's go for a modern style, and let's get rid of the Van Gogh, and we'll just say architectural painting style. So not being too specific about the particular artist. And basically let's click generate, see what happens to this new image. Now do remember, it is important to refresh. That was one thing I just forgot there. So click refresh with the selected image just to kind of like see that new image being generated. So overall, the AI Visualiser is improving all the time in Vectorworks, and there's some very exciting things coming up soon, but I'm not allowed to talk about those right now. So let's have a look at this new sketch that's coming up. This definitely looks like a very architectural style of sketch, that hand-drawn kind of coloured pencil type sketch. And basically, let's do the same little trick. Let's overlay those images, let's slide opacity down and just see if it looks a bit better or a bit worse with that overlaying. Once again, we can try things like the saturation. I might want to boost that up, fade the edges a bit. And overall, you know, I'm really happy with that image just in a few moments. So very, very pleased with that particular image. Now let's go back, we'll review these images, and what I'm going to do now is basically select the original image once again, and let's go for a couple more of these because I'm having so much fun. So this time I'm going to go back to the original image, no image effects, no fading at all. And let's go for another prompt. So what should we do now? I'm feeling creative, so I'm going to go for like a pop art style, you know, something a bit more kind of modern. Let's go for pop art style painting by Andy Warhol, the famous pop art artist. Very intrigued to see what the AI will do to interpret the Andy Warhol pop art style for our image. So let's go for it. I'm expecting something quite vibrant and, you know, lots of popping colours and kind of, you know, bold areas of colour as well. So, you know, what I really like about this is you can actually prompt it with specific sort of artists that you admire if you want to kind of emulate the style of the work that they produced. And as well as being a lot of fun, I do think this is actually extremely useful when you're creating some, you know, really kind of compelling architectural presentations. So that looks amazing. It's definitely Andy Warhol style, sort of garish, bright colours, and, you know, really, really popping there. But I'm just intrigued to see what would happen if we just fade it down a little bit. You know, maybe that makes a little bit more kind of like sense in terms of the final image. So playing around with the two things, the AI, the image opacity, and finally those image effects gives you a huge amount of creativity and flexibility to get the image you require. And this is what I've always loved about Vectorworks as a design software. You know, I've always felt like in 2D and 3D, there was nothing that I couldn't ever come up with or conceive. Now things like the AI Visualiser just make things one hell of a lot more fun. And the great thing is this all runs on the Vectorworks cloud. So just before we carry on looking at the amazing new features in Vectorworks 2025, I just wanted to reach out to you and offer my teaching and training services that I offer all over the world via Zoom. I'm an experienced architect with over 20 years experience, but I've been a Vectorworks user my entire career, and I really love teaching people from small practices to individuals, whatever level you currently are. I can help you on 2D, 3D, BIM, or various visualization workflows. I also really love teaching Vectorworks in combination with things like Twinmotion, Enscape and D5 Render for 3D visualization. So wherever you are in the world, if you'd like to reach out and improve your Vectorworks skills, please book a call or drop me an email and I'll be very, very pleased to help. I look forward to hearing from you soon. So I'm going to do one final one for you. Of course, the most famous architect we can imagine who does paintings, probably Zaha Hadid. I'm really intrigued to see what it will come up with in terms of the Zaha style. You know, very, very sort of architectural distinctive style that we'll all recognise. So it's processing. I can already kind of recognise those distinctive tones and colours and sort of forms that Zaha would have used. And I'm really impressive. So I can save that image externally. Let's just go and create it as a bitmap image. And once again, I'm basically just going to kind of overlay. Now this one's interesting, it's got a bit of a border, so I wasn't expecting that. You know, maybe that's something that sort of just was part of the AI technology. So, okay, that's interesting. So a little tip here, let's place it into the middle and basically let's use the ability to crop the image. So if I double click the image, I can actually crop it and basically then overlay it properly. So let's go into our rectangle tool. Let's pop a rectangle just over the bit I actually want to retain, that's great. And now when I stretch it, it should actually fit proportionately. So let's just have a little look at the opacity function a tiny bit here to mingle those two together. And yes, you know, definitely see that underlying photo coming through. But as it happens, you know, I quite like the image just as it was. So you don't have to use that opacity. So as ever, thanks for watching everybody. I really hope you enjoyed this video. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.